Excuse me. Could I mute myself?
Hello, John. Hello. Hello. Hello, Liu. Can you hear us? Hello.
Hello, Raja.
Yeah, Liu. Hi. How are you?
Yes, fine. John, he leaves for a while. He'll come back shortly.
Oh, right. Thank you. Is Professor Watanabe inside?
I think not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Right. Fine. So, how is today? You had work, Liu?
Oh yeah, morning I have a society meeting in town. Just came back.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I see one of my Professor Balakrishnan Kunjan, sir. Professor Balakrishnan, are you there? Professor Balakrishnan is one of the senior most professors in this part of Kerala. Hello,
Okay.
Professor Balakrishnan. Sir, are you there? I think everybody is muted or not in place, I think. I had conducted Professor Watanabe Sensei's trial yesterday, and actually he was with Professor Nagatani at his house. So everything went fine. I hope they will come soon. I have sent them mail.
The speed test was okay yesterday.
Yeah, it was fine. Everything was fine.
Great.
Right. Professor Watanabe has very good videos, which actually played well yesterday.
Yeah.
Also,
I think last year, I think we saw him using a 3D exoscope with fluorescence with 5 ALA
oh
for
yeah,
occipital tumor. Yeah, hopefully you can show
right.
it.
With the tubular retractor one, isn't it?
No, exoscope, but
Through
with
endoscope. Yeah,
yeah,
I understand.
correct. Yeah.
It is a renowned endoscopic neurosurgeon.
Yes, correct.
Oh, yeah. Professor Nagatani should also be here. Where can we see? Yeah, attendees. Yeah, Watanabe Sensei is in the attendees. How can we promote him to the panelist?
Oh, is it? Huh? You can do it from your side?
No, I can't.
Watanabe.
He's in the attendees.
Yes. I need to call John. John? Hello, John.
John, are you there? I'll just call him on WhatsApp. Let's see. I'm sending him messages. Hello, Balakrishnan sir. How are you?
Okay.
Yeah, hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, Roger?
I'm fine,
Leo,
thank you. There is Professor
is the
Watanabe was
speaker
waiting.
here?
Yeah,
Is the
yeah,
speaker here?
speaker is in the attendees. Can you please promote him to the panel?
Where's the speaker at?
Tadashi Watanabe Sensei.
And he's got
He's here in the
he's got
participant.
good, he knows how to screen share and all that stuff.
He's in the attendees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he should be inside. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, some people come at the last minute and you get nervous.
Sensei?
Hmm?
Watanabe Sensei, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, hello Sensei, how are you?
Hello.
Hello, Prof.
You came in
Oh.
6 minutes to spare.
Yeah,
Oh, how are you, everybody? Okay.
yeah, Professor
Can
Watanabe.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
do you
can
want to
hear
go,
you.
do you want to, I'm Dr. Bennett. Do you want to go over the
Ah.
screen sharing, etc.?
Okay, thank you.
You
Okay.
want to go over it and practice it?
Okay.
Hello,
We did.
Sachin.
Yeah, hi Sachin, how are you?
Hello,
Harshal is
sir.
also
I'm
there.
fine, sir.
Harshal is also here. Hello Harshal.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Balakrishnan sir, how are you, sir?
Fine, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. Professor Watanabe, Professor Balakrishnan is one of the
Tadashi,
senior most
excuse
professors.
me, Raja. Tadashi, are you testing it or you want to test it or you feel
Excuse me,
comfortable?
we'll come just now.
Huh? Caster? Sorry?
Do you feel
your share-
comfortable with the screen sharing?
Yes, I can
Okay.
see you all.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
good.
I had sent a link to Nagatani Sensei also. I hope he got that
He
link.
is not here.
No,
not-
I don't see him
Okay.
here.
Mm.
You want to try to test your screen, Professor
Ah,
Watanabe?
yes, please. How-
Just try.
There is a green button.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Just press that green button in the lower part of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, Professor. Perfect.
Good.
We
Okay.
can see you.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
Right. We are 5 minutes
Yes. Okay.
early.
We start in 4 minutes, okay?
4 minutes.
But there is a we should. I think we should give few minutes for our chairman, Professor Nagatani, to come.
Okay.
More on Miami time.
Sensei, do you have his phone number? Can you please make a call to him?
Yes, I can make a contact with him. I
Please, Sensei.
will call him.
Tadashi, could you get off the screen share so we can, when we introduce you, everyone
Okay.
can see your whole
Okay.
face?
I see.
There we
もし
go.
もし。あ、先生、できますか？あ、そうですか。もう皆さんいらっしゃいますよ。わかりますかね？あ、わかりました。はい。So now, Professor Nagatani is ready, and he is, maybe he is coming.
Yeah, we can wait a few minutes.
Great.
There is Binoy is in the attendees. Kimra Sensei is there.
So are we waiting for anybody or we're all set?
Yeah, we are waiting for the chairperson. He will arrive soon. Professor
Okay,
Tadashi
Okay.
Watanabe Sensei. I just gave him a call and he said he could
okay, we'll
join us.
just wait, that's all.
Yeah, few minutes he should be here. Today there are many parallel webinars going on in India and other places. So we expect a Takuchi Sensei is there. Hello Binoy, how are you?
Hello, Raja.
Yeah, hi Binoy.
Yeah. Hello, Watanabe Sensei.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, Sensei. I was in Japan with Kato Sensei in December
Oh.
and January. And we have
Yeah.
seen your surgeries, like intraaxial tumor, you have excised one case.
Oh. So
And,
you are in
some-
Bantane Hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
he
in
was-
Bantane. One medial temporal large tumor you have excised
Ah,
using
yes.
that view site you have used.
With a cylinder surgery, ne?
Yeah. And
That's
one or two cases of hematoma you have evacuated there using
yes.
the view site, and that endo arm you was used for the cases.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great surgery. We learned many things from there.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Hey, we're still waiting on the person to come.
Oh,
he should be there.
shall I call him again? Okay.
Yeah, please if you can.
Yeah, we can wait a minute too.
あ、できるんですか？ああ、そうですか。昨日のところじゃないでしょ、先生。今日の、なんか、今日またメールが来てますよね、先生。はい、新しいの。はい。はい。
You're taking the screen.
Who is that?
Yeah, that's 404. Just, yeah, there you go. Okay. Guess he accidentally started sharing something.
でしたかね。あ、そうですか。Actually, Professor Nagatani is connecting to the yesterday's address Dr. Raja sent to me yesterday.
No, I sent to you both today.
Okay.
Today afternoon, I sent it to both
I
of
said
you.
him, please contact
Okay,
to
so
the
is
today.
he gonna come?
Yeah, he should come.
He should try to come. 今日
Wait,
のメール
I'll just send in the link.
そうですか。それでしたら、今日の夕方ぐらいに来てましたけどね。
I have sent the mail again.
Okay, yeah, can you? そうだ。でも、
He should get it.
送ってます。あっちの方に行ってますね。病院の方に。Okay, I understand. Okay. So today's mail is sent to a hospital address. So now you cannot get the address. So I will send again. Okay.
That's okay. We can start. Okay. We got the main speakers. So Leo,
Okay.
just please introduce him, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Okay. Let's start. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good day, this is Dr. John Bennett broadcasting from Miami, home of Neurosurgical TV. We have the honor of televising the ACNS residents webinar, and I'll turn it over to Liu to explain what's going on today. Hello, Liu.
Hello, hello. Welcome, Professor Watanabe. He's a top endoscopic neurosurgeon in Japan and from Red Cross Hospital, Nagoya. Welcome, Professor. Raja, you want to ask anything for Raja?
Nothing, just today is the second talk of the July resident webinar series. Professor Watanabe Sensei is a renowned endoscopic neurosurgeon in Aichi Dai Hospital. We were very fortunate to witness his beautiful surgeries when we were back there in Japan. Thank you, Sensei, for teaching us and coming here. On behalf of the Education Committee and the President, Professor Yoko Kata, I welcome you, Sensei. And you may please start the lecture.
Okay.
If you may please.
Okay. Thank you for okay. Shall I start the lecture?
Yeah. Yes. Please.
Of course, Sensei.
Okay. Today's my topics is endoscopic endonasal approach, and Dr. Raja asked me to do a lecture for a young neurosurgeon in Asia. So today I'm going to talk about basic technique and basic anatomy, and then maybe at the end I will talk about extended surgery and combined surgery. Okay, so let's start. First, I'm talking about surgical equipment and the setup. We always use a 4mm rigid scope, mostly 0 degree and 30 degree. And sometimes I use 45 and 70 degree. And in Japan, we have a good holder like this, Olympus one and Mitaka one. This is a pneumatic holder, which we can control the endoscope precisely. And the camera is full HD. And nowadays we can use a 4K camera also. And I always use a navigation system. And tools are mostly thin and flexible. So there's some tools special designed for endoscopic surgery. And about monitoring, we use VEP, visual evoked potential for craniopharyngioma, and sometimes we use MEP when the tiny vessels is attaching to the tumor, and sometimes I use a nerve monitor. I mean, third nerve and sixth nerve like this. We use a needle electrode and directly penetrate to a muscle. Okay. And okay, so this schema shows the overall setup, patient setup. I always put the patient head up, maybe 20 or 15 degree. And we control the head position, sometimes vertex down a little bit for tuberculosis meningioma or craniopharyngioma, and set straight for adenoma or clival lesions. And we put monitors here. This is main monitor, and this is sub monitor, and this is a monitor for navigation, and this is a holder, And the surgeon is standing here and the patient is here. Okay, so this is the movie, a short movie during the surgery. Sorry, I am holding the endoscope for a surgeon, and my junior colleague is doing a surgery. Actually, in Red Cross Hospital, we are doing this surgery with two neurosurgeons. But actually nowadays, after moving to Aichi Medical School, ENT guy is helping me, especially in approach. Okay. Okay, this slide shows a position relationship between tools and endoscope. Actually, mostly I put the endoscope upper here, the 12 o'clock, and there's the space beneath the scope. So suction and the tools here. And sometimes we put the endoscope downward like this. And there is a free space in upper. Okay. It's depend on the situation of the surgery. When you want to look up, when you do a surgery in upper area, you have to endoscope down. It's like a sword holding, the samurai posture. Okay, so when you put the endoscope at the 12 o'clock, there is an invisible wall here. Because there is a confliction between endoscope and tool. So you can touch this area. And if you put the endoscope 6 o'clock, there is an invisible wall here, so you cannot touch here. No, only surgical area is here. And when you want to cut something, for example, dura, when you cut the dura from up to down, you should put the endoscope like this, 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock is fine. So anyway, you put the endoscope outside, you can do a perpendicular movement. Okay. And when you bend the tools, the tip of the tool, for example, this is suction tip. When you bend a little bit, you can reach to the place. Okay. So that is why we need bendable tools in endoscopic surgery. Okay, this is tools which I use. And this is a monoshaft bipolar made by Stolz, and this is a fine monoshaft forceps. And this one is a rotating dissector. When you roll the shaft, the tip will move like this. So it is very useful for this kind of endoscopic surgery. And of course, the flexible suction tip. And this is actually me and Dr. Professor Nagatani developed this kind of tools, which has two bendable points here and here. This wavy design, you can bend the tip or the near the grip, you can bend. And this is not too soft, like a silver dissector. It is. This is made from stainless steel, and you can bend it and bend it back. And also this is tough, so easy to bend and easy to reshape and tough. So it is very useful. This is made by Mizuho and the Shalman company. Okay, let's move to the anatomy. Okay, so this is the view from right nostril. So you can see septum here and inferior turbinate here. And this is a middle turbinate, and this is uncinate process. Okay, and this is the schema of nasal septum. This one, nasal septum. And this part is, this orange part is septal cartilage, and the green part is bony septum. It is called lamina perpendiculis of ethmoidal bone. And this red one is a boma bone. So after cutting a mucosa, you remove the septal bone like this and approach to the sphenoid sinus. Okay. Okay, this is the anatomy of basal lamella. The basal lamella is familiar to the ENT surgeons, but not familiar to a neurosurgeon. So we have to learn about this. And this is the structure of a lateral wall of a nasal cavity. And first basal lamella is uncinate process, this one, uncinate process, this one. And the second one is bulla ethmoidalis, this one, bulla ethmoidalis, the ethmoid bulla, this one. And the third one is grand lamella, this one. This one is actually the root of the middle turbinate. And the fourth one is the superior turbinate here. It means posterior ethmoid sinus, just in front of the anterior wall of sphenoid sinus. Okay, so and then arteries. There are arteries in the cavity called anterior ethmoid artery, this one and this one. As you know, the anterior ethmoid artery is coming from the ophthalmic artery, so the blood flow is like this, and always running through the root of the septal bone of ethmoid sinus. And there is the anterior ethmoid artery and posterior ethmoid artery. And sometimes there are the two posterior ethmoid arteries. And another important artery is Vidian artery and Vidian nerve complex. It placed here in the Vidian canal. Okay. This is the coronal section of CT of sphenoid sinus, and you can easily find Vidian canal next to the foramen rotundum. You can also find a foramen rotundum. So you can check the place of this structure before the surgery. And this is a beautiful picture made by Professor Netta. And this is the anterior ethmoid artery. These are posterior ethmoid artery. And this is sphenopalatine artery. I talk later here. This feeds the turbinates and also feeds the septum mucosa, which is called posterior septal branch of a sphenopalatine artery. Okay. Okay, this is the sphenopalatine artery. This this is operative view, looking from anterior. And then after drilling off the posterior wall of maxillary sinus. This place is maxillary sinus. And after opening the posterior wall, you can expose the sphenopalatine artery. But in actual patient, there is a fat tissues around here, so you can, only fat graft you can see. So you have to find the artery in the fat tissues. And this is sphenopalatine artery branching from maxillary artery, and this is inferior orbital artery, and this one is descending palatine artery. And the sphenopalatine artery is branching the posterior septal branch to the septum. This is the sphenoid sinus. And here you can see the biliary canal here, biliary canal. And the biliary artery is coming from deep side. It is running through the sphenoid sinus, and there is anastomosis here. This is the posterior wall of sphenoid sinus. This is the familiar picture for us, and this is planum sphenoidale and optic canal and optic nerve inside, and tuberculum celia, and cell thoracica here, cella. And this one is optic, carotid prominence. It contains the IC genu here. And this recess is lateral OCL. And the medial one is a medial OCL. OCL means the optical carotid recess. And this one is a root of optic strut. Lateral OCL is the root of optic strut, and medial OCL is middle clinal process here, because here is the IC. This picture, the inside the skull. Here is the optic nerve and the IC. So lateral OCL and medial OCL. Okay. This is the middle clinal process of optical recess here. Okay. Okay, and another important artery is superior hypophyseal artery. So when you do a surgery for craniopharyngioma, it is very important during the surgery. So it is arising from IC, and it feeds the chiasma and stalk. This is a cadaveric picture. The small vessel, but it feeds the chiasma and optic nerve, and it feeds the stalk like this. One or two artery is directly branching from IC. And also in this picture, you can see tiny vessels here. And okay, this is a paper from Professor Shaker's team. This is the old one, but in this paper they said SHA, superior hypophyseal artery, is branching like a candelabra-like pattern. It means it's coming from IC, and one branch is going anterior, and the other one is going back and going to stop. It's branching like this candelabra pattern. This is a really important information. Okay, so, and other artery, sometimes we come across in endonasal surgery. Inferior lateral trunk is the branch from IC C4, this one. It is branching lateral inside the cavernous sinus. It feeds nerves and the wall of the cavernous sinus. And another one is meningohypophyseal trunk, is branching from here, this corner, C45, and it is branching on tentorial artery and sometimes branching inferior hypophyseal artery. And this one, inferior hypophyseal artery, sometimes branching from IC directly to the pituitary gland, and sometimes from meningohypophyseal trunk. Okay. And this is another schema from another paper mentioning about meningohypophyseal trunk. This one is meningohypophyseal trunk, and this is a tentorial artery, which is important when you do a surgery for a tentorial meningioma, petrotentorial meningioma. Always feeding is from this artery. And this branch is called dorsal meningeal artery. This artery is running always parallel to the sixth nerve and the Dorero canal. It's running just beside the Dorero's canal. And this one is inferior hypophyseal artery feeding the pituitary gland. Okay. Okay, another tiny artery is capsular artery. Capsular artery is also branching from IC directly, and it feeds the dura mater and the diaphragm. So it is important when you do a surgery for tuberculum serra meningioma. Tuberculum serra meningioma is always fed by this artery. And there is sometimes there is another inferior capsular artery which have anastomosis with inferior hypophyseal artery. Okay. Okay, let's move to the surgical approach. Okay, so first we cut the mucosa here. I prefer cutting at the anterior, like this here, at the level of inferior turbinate, anterior tip of inferior turbinate, I cut here. So, so when you use a septal flap, septal mucosal flap, it is really convenient. When you need a flap, you can make a flap anytime. So that is why I use a mucosal cut at this point. And after dissection of the periosteum from nasal septal cartilage, you can find a border between septal cartilage and the bony septum. So you break this point, and we remove the bony septum like this, So I always keep this bony structure for reconstruction at the end of the surgery. So we take it and keep it. And then we reach to the anterior wall of sphenoid sinus. Okay. And okay, so. And when I drill the anterior wall sphenoid sinus, first we can confirm the natural ostium of a sphenoid sinus. And then all we have to do is just cut the, I can see by my face, cut the anterior edge of okay. Sorry, the superior edge of sphenoid sinus, and this part is always thick, so we have to drill. We have to take time to drill here. This V-shape bony drilling, and then we open the sphenoid sinus. So wide opening of sphenoid sinus is a key of this approach. So this procedure makes the manipulation easy. So we have to make it wide. Okay. And then move to cellar opening. So this is a video, and the cellar is also, I prefer a wide opening. So like draw the line just between the carotid prominence and the cellar. Draw the line like this, and then open. And when you open it wide, you can see the the very good view of inside the cellar. Okay, so dural incision. I prefer inverted T or inverted Y dural incision. It is we can open it very wide, and the closure is easy. So I prefer this cutting. And the point is just cut the dura mater, not the tumor capsule. So for the case of pituitary adenoma, always they have shoot capsule. So you can follow the shoot capsule just after cutting the dura mater. So I always cut only dura mater in this cutting. Okay, then dissection of the tumor. So if possible, you better find the shoot capsule here between dura mater and the shoot capsule. This white one is tumor, and there's the thin shoot capsule. And once you find the surgical plane here, you can follow all around the tumor like this, like this. Okay, so and the tumor is dissected from the normal gland or medial wall cavernous sense. Relatively, dissection from normal gland is easier. And so you better find the border between a normal gland and the tumor. And this is after tumor resection. Always the diaphragm is falling down like this, like balloon, under pressure of CSF. And this is the end point of the tumor. And then we always put the fat graft from abdomen, and about 2 centimeter fat graft and free fat graft, and put it inside the tumor cavity. And I always do 1 or 2 sutures by a 6-0 Prolin with this kind of knot pusher. And then if there's a bony piece, we do a bony reconstruction here. Then in this case, I have done mucosa. This mucosa was, during the surgery, it was here. And after the surgery, it put it back and then fix by a glue. But when you find a high flow CSF leak or unstable fat graft, or there's not so much dura structure is remaining, so you can use the mucoseptal flap like this. Okay. Okay, this video I show you the pseudocapsulectomy for macro GH producing tumor. So now I'm dissecting the dura mater just after cutting the dura. There is a very thin pseudocapsule, and partially it is destroyed, but I am continuing to follow the pseudocapsule. Especially for this kind of functioning adenoma, it may be important when you remove the tumor totally. So following the pseudocapsule is important, I think. So now you see that this white tissue tumor and a very thin normal gland is here. In this case, normal gland is all around the tumor, so a very thin gland is everywhere. So suction, and this is forceps, tiny forceps. I grab the tissue and then gently, rub the border of the tumor. And then I cut the tumor. So the angle scope can confirm the corner of the tumor cavity. This is the connecting tissue between tumor capsule and the normal gland. So in this case, I cut it as much as possible. And then in this case, I could I could get a complete remission. The GH level is preoperatively there was more than 100, got down to 0.07. Okay. Okay, this is the recurrent non-functioning tumor, non-functioning adenoma. So I show you the approach and tumor dissection now. So the first surgery is done by a microsurgery. So actually, relatively, the bony septum is remaining. Actually, for a nose, it is less invasive, I think, when they do microscopic and transsphenoid surgery. And opening of sphenoid sinus is this much, not so much. When we do endoscopic surgery, we do a much wider sphenoid opening. And this is sella. And at the center of the sella, there was a previous opening, but we do a much wider sella opening and draw the line outside the previous opening. Previous opening maybe around here. Then we can find normal dura mater just beneath this bony graft. And also we can cut the dura mater, then you can find a border between dura mater and tumor capsule. Okay, sorry. So now I am cutting the dura mater. at the center, it is difficult to find the border, but at the edge of the cell opening, you can you can get a border between tumor. You can get the surgical plane on the pseudocapsule. Around here, there's a connective tissues because of a previous surgery. So it may be a little bit difficult to find. But if you dissect the edge of the dural opening, you can find a border like this. So I like this kind of round dissector, round sharp dissector. Using this kind of dissector, you can find a border. Oh, sorry. Okay, so using a larger ring dissector, you can do a dissection between tumor and maybe a thin normal gland. And then after dissecting around, I do a internal decompression. And once the tumor is shrinking down, you can follow the border which I dissected before. Okay, so I show you, and this is the Schur capsule, and this yellow one is gland, normal gland, and maybe there will be a normal gland at the back side, so I have to preserve it. Oh, sorry. Okay, so but in this kind of re-operation, sometimes the normal gland is attaching hardly, so I have to dissect carefully. So sometimes I have to peel off the normal gland here. And finally, we have left the normal gland here. And this is a residual tumor here. So I'm grabbing this yellow tissue is normal gland. There's a border here. Okay. Okay, this is a gland and the tumor. Okay, in this case, we could remove all the tumor out, and we could preserve the pituitary function. Okay, so let's move to other case. This is a smaller one, but I show you the capsular dissection technique. So I open the cella, then after cutting the dura mater, you can find a border. In this case, there's a normal gland at the left side, so it may be a little bit easy to find the border. But sometimes it remains a soft tumor at the corner, so in such a case, I do a suction using an angled scope and bony reconstruction. Okay, it's a postoperative MRI. Okay, let's move to.
So maybe this patient we won't operate in the future.
Sorry?
My team, we all work very closely.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Somebody is not muted, Sensei.
Progress.
Hello, John. John, can you mute the person who is?
Thank you, Pablo.
Noise?
Let's say.
Hello, John. Are you there, John?
That's the problem of the video, the pictures.
John, can you mute the person? Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Okay, can I? Can I continue the lecture?
Yes, Prof, please.
Okay. So, so let's move to the extended surgery. This is anterior extension. This technique is used for craniopharyngioma and tuberculous meningioma. The key is opening anterior part of the cella, anterior to the cella, tuberculum cella and planum, and the root of optic canal. Okay. So when we drill this part is very tough. Always the bone is very thick, so we have to take time to drill here by diamond drill. And we have to watch out the heat injury also, because the optic nerve is just behind the bone, so we have to watch out. And irrigation will be necessary, I think. Okay. And after opening cella and tuberculum cella, we cut dural incision like this. I prefer linear incision. And then this is inside the dura. After removing some amount of tumor, you can see AC and ACOM, and this is a interhemisphere, the chiasm. This is chiasm also. I'm cutting the tumor piece from the chiasm. And the stalk you can see, and the PC also, and the PCOM, and this is the basilar tip stalk, and third knob you can see. And in case of craniopharyngioma containing the stalk itself, I removed all the tumor. There's a big hole to the third ventricle. This is mammillary body and basilar tip and posterior perforating substance here. And this is a mucous septal flap. Okay, this is the case before and after surgery of MRI. This is craniopharyngioma. This is craniopharyngioma. In my opinion, this kind of multilobular cystic craniopharyngioma, if the core part of the tumor is here, you can fight with endonasal surgery in this case. This is after surgery. This is meningioma, tuberculum cell meningioma, pre and post-operative MRI. Okay, I show you some videos. So now I'm cut the cella and the tuberculum cell bone in one piece. Here is the optic canal. And now I'm cutting the dura mater, preserving the internal cavernous sinus. So there must be a very thin wall of a vein, and coagulate and cut it, and I use a tenting by a 60 neuron, and two more dissected from optic nerve and the stalk. In this case, we could dissect the tumor from the stalk, and we could preserve the pituitary function. Always the craniopharyngioma is attaching to the optic nerve. So in this stage, we have to watch out the suprahypophyseal arteries. This tiny vessel is working actually. So if you coagulate or destroy them, there must be a visual deterioration after the surgery, so we have to watch out. this is the stalk, and we took off the final piece of the tumor. And this is also the tiny SHA, and a very small piece of cyst wall is remaining on the tiny vessels. But I think in this patient, 6-7 years, there's no recurrence. Okay. This is another case. Tumor is behind the stalk, the retrochiasmatic, retroinfundibular type. So in this kind of case, we drill off the dorsum cell, and we cut the pituitary gland and go into the space. This is gland. And now I'm dissecting tumor beyond the chiasm. So I'm going to preserve all the vessels which is running on the chiasm. But I have to do a total resection. This is the border between hypothalamus and the tumor. There's always, the border is not clear. So we have to make a border between tumor and the hypothalamus. Okay. This is post-operative CT, which shows the drilling out of dorsum cell here. Okay, so the lateral extension, I talk a little bit about this. So when you want to go lateral, you can drill the orbital process, posterior wall of maxillary sinus, or floor of posterior ethmoid sinus. Then you can drill off this corner, so you can go lateral a little bit. Orbital process is here, the medial posterior corner of the maxillary sinus. And after during this bony structure, you can go a little bit lateral. So for this case, these kind of cases, the tumor extending inside a cavernous sinus, you can do this technique, and then you can remove some amount of the tumor, not a total resection, but you can do a volume reduction of cavernous tumor. And this case is a temporal base encephalocele from just lateral to the rotundum. There is a hole here. So I removed this brain, and we did a reconstruction from the nose. In this case, I cut the very thin median nerve. I sacrificed this, and then did a reconstruction using a fat graft and mucosal flap. And also we can do a clival lesion, of course. This case is chordoma here, just behind the IC. This is the chordoma. And in this case, we have to drill out the IC. We have to expose the medial part of IC, and then we have to follow the tumor. And at the same time, we have to watch out the running of 6 nerve. In case of chordoma, chordoma is always arising from between occipital bone and sphenoidal bone. So always 6 nerve is inside the tumor, so we have to watch out. Then there's the dural hole here. You can see the basilar artery. And when you see inside the dura by angled scope, you can see a 6 nerve here running. Okay. Okay, this is another case. Okay, I will skip this. And then this is the last part of my lecture. And this kind of, complicated multilobular tumor, I choose the combined endonasal and the supraorbital keyhole approach with a two team of neurosurgeon. Do a surgery from above and below. This is nose, this is eyebrow here. So there's a combined simultaneous approach. We need a two set of endoscopic system and a two team of neurosurgeon. But it is very good approach, I think. OR layout is a little bit complicated, but we can discuss each other. We can see the monitor of our team and the other team also. So we can confirm the safety, and so it is very convenient. In this case, I did combined surgery, very elderly patient, but there's a huge tumor extending anterior, and there is a small tumor is arising from oculomotor triangle. So from above, I removed this part, and then from the nose, they removed this part, and most of the tumor was gone. And other, the advantage of this approach is we can avoid the postoperative hemorrhage from a residual tumor. Okay. This is a different type of giant tumor extending beneath the optic tract. This is a lateral posterolateral part from the cell, not anterior. So in this case, also the combined surgery is convenient. This is the paper from Professor Miranda. The tumor is extending from oculomotor triangle. In this case, tumor is extending this direction. Okay, I did, in this case, I did a combined approach. So the tumor section is done by endonasal team, and supraorbital team will do safety confirmation, and we can confirm the perforators and sometimes the third nerve. So that is an important thing to do for a supraorbital team. Okay, in this case, okay, endonasal team will resect this blue part, and the supraorbital team will resect this part. Okay. Okay, this is the video. In this case, I used the exoscope, 3D exoscope, and from the nose, of course, endoscope. This is IC, and this is a bloody tumor, and always third nerve is coming suddenly, so we have to watch out. So once we found the third nerve, we can exchange the information with the other team, and we can do a safe surgery. Then, preserving the nerve, we remove the soft tumor by suction tip. And then finally, we found peduncle and UNCS, and this is MC. Tumor is beyond the MC. So this is the final view. Okay, maybe this is this last slide. Okay, this is the last slide. Okay, thank you for your attention. This is the end of my lecture.
Thank you. Thank you, Sensei. It was indeed an exciting lecture you gave. Thank you very much. It was pure masterclass, and I was so fortunate enough to witness these surgeries live during my time in Japan. So there are many questions which have been lined up. Professor Azmi Elias is here. He asked 2 important questions. Professor Azmi, would you like to come in, sir?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, we
I
can.
can.
We can.
Okay,
Please.
congratulations. Very elegant, nice presentation.
Thank
So
you.
I have a couple of technical questions pertaining to the mucosa flap. Do
Yes.
you routinely erase vascularized mucosa flap in all pituitary surgery? And do
No.
you use unilateral or bilateral flap?
When I use a mucosal flap, of course unilateral, but not all the case. Actually, mostly I don't use the mucosal flap for pituitary adenoma. I always use flap for craniopharyngioma and meningioma. So for pituitary adenoma, mostly maybe we don't need any vascularized flap because there must be a plane, there must be a diaphragm and a normal gland. If there's a small hole, it doesn't matter. You can put the fat graft inside the tumor cavity and I do a suture. So it will adhere maybe, 1 or 2 weeks, it fixed stably. So no problem.
Okay, very good. The second question is, do you have experience in MRI negative Cushing disease, where you can't see the lesion, but the inferior petrosus sinus sampling confirm it is Cushing disease. So what is your strategy based on your experience? Do you perform total hypophyseectomy or you do two-third, or how do you approach such cases?
Yeah, actually nowadays, mostly we can find a small adenoma by, MRI. Imaging is improving every year. So, but sometimes I experience MRI negative one. So I do a sampling, but sampling is sometimes it is wrong. So sampling is, I don't rely on the sampling. And in such a case, I do cutting the normal gland, So first I do horizontal section and then search the tumor, and then vertical section, maybe 3 or 4, and find them. And then if there's no tumor, remove the piece of the normal gland and find. Then if you can find the tumor, it is lucky. But sometimes even doing such a manipulation, I cannot find. So I have experience. There's no remission after the surgery.
So you go in for repeat surgery for completion total hypophyseectomy, or you send for radiation?
One case I tried a 3 surgery for same patient, and maybe after last surgery, the data of ACTH is coming down to maybe half, not completely. So now she is relatively doing well. So she is accepting the situation. But yeah, that is a very difficult case. But actually, mostly nowadays we can find a small tumor by MRI. Carefully, you see the image, you can find.
Okay, wonderful. I probably allow for others panelists to ask the question first. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Azmi. One important question somebody asked in between was, how do you manage the carotid and cavernous sinus injury, if at all it happens?
Yes, cavernous injury. Fortunately, I have experienced only one case out of 650 cases. Only one case I have experienced. In that case, fortunately that was injury of a tiny perforator, not a laceration. So I could save the patient because the hole was very small, not the cutting or laceration of the IC wall. So there's a hole, but blood was coming out, very arterial bleeding coming out. But so I did glue and surgical again and again, and push it more than 30 minutes. Then I could control the.
عايز ادخل شير سكرين تيجي صور كده. طب ما تعمل.
Sorry?
Yeah, thank you, Professor. There is Alberto Felitti is here. Felitti?
Yes,
my
here.
Dear friend, please.
Yeah, I'm here.
Alberto Felitti is a wonderful endoscopic surgeon, very familiar to you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, Professor Watanabe. Congratulations for the very nice and inspiring presentation, especially the part where you talked about the two teams operating at the same time, transcranial team and endonasal team. It's like directing an orchestra. Actually, I guess you are not only a neurosurgeon, but you are also a musician. I see many guitars in your room. So, now my question is: do you usually or do you always use a single nostril approach, or do you sometimes use a double nostril approach? And if yes, in which cases?
Okay. For pituitary adenoma, mostly I use only one nostril. One nostril is enough for adenoma. But I use two nostrils for craniopharyngioma, meningioma, chordoma. So for adenoma, I use one nostril. So if you leave one nostril free, just after the surgery, they can breathe from untouched nostril. So that is the small advantage. But if I can do with the one nostril, I use only one nostril for adenoma.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Leo.
Hello.
Go ahead, Leo.
Hello. Yes. Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, Professor. Is there anyone want to ask any question? Satish, do you have any question for Professor Watanabe? Hello.
Hello, Professor. Good day. Nice to see you. Professor, do you use any pre-op lumbar drain for a routine case?
Lumbar drain, no. No lumbar drain for me. No lumbar drain. After surgery, maybe one week or several days, if there's a CSF leak, I do a lumbar drainage, but no lumbar drainage at the time of surgery.
Professor, like a lot of young neurosurgeons starting out, could you tell me a few techniques to avoid fogging? What are the techniques to avoid fogging of the endoscope?
What fogging?
Yeah.
Okay. Fogging of tip of the endoscope. Ne?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, good question. I use the irrigation system. Okay. And so system has a special irrigation system. So I use the irrigation system. But in other place, they use irrigation suction. Suction and the irrigation is in the same instrument. They use irrigation by suction. They irrigate the tip of the endoscope.
Okay. And Sensei, in this COVID situation, how is endonasal surgery? In this current corona situation, endonasal surgery?
Yes. Fortunately, here in Japan, it is relatively stable, especially in Nagoya here. Actually, no new patient. So nowadays, it is coming back to normal situation. But in April, May, I control the cases. I postponed not emergency cases, but today maybe normal. So normal situation is coming back.
Professor Mohan Sharma has asked, is there any role for acetazolamide in post-op CSF leak? Do you use acetazolamide, Diamox, in post-op CSF leaks? Hello, Sensei, can you hear me?
Oh, asking me? Acetazolamide?
Yes. Yeah.
I have no experience. No. For CSF leak, I choose the first conservative therapy. If there is a small leakage from, I check the endoscope with the ENT guy. If there's a obvious hole there coming and the CSF is coming from the hole, I do a reoperation. But otherwise, I do a conservative therapy, lying on the bed for 1 week.
Right.
1 week will be fine in 1 week, I think.
Right. Professor Sharma, thank you for asking that question and being here.
Okay, thank you very much.
And delighted to have you today. Binoy, you want to ask something, Binoy?
Sensei, I want to know whether you do middle turbinectomy during the procedure.
Yes, Binoy.
Middle turbinectomy.
Middle turbinectomy. Okay. Middle turbinectomy. Actually, I don't do. I just do pushing lateralization only. I do, and preserve the middle turbinate. Maybe I'm doing pushing the ethmoid bulla a little bit by breaking the small bone inside the ethmoid bulla, so we can make the space of a corridor. So I don't do middle turbinectomy.
Right. So, are there any questions? Dr. Jyotish, you would like to come in? Jyotish or Dr. Raj or Dr. Ajit? Dr. Jyotish, would you like to come in? I think they are not here. So,
Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Ajit, please.
Yeah, it's a very good talk and actually very inspiring to see the endoscope is being used in all areas, supracellular areas. My question regarding Professor is when you're doing supracellular lesions, there are so many perforators like the superior hypophyseal artery, inferior hypophyseal artery. So I am asking about the craniopharyngioma. Do you have any special techniques preventing the rupture, identifying these arteries during your surgery?
Yes, an important question. Yes. The important thing is, we have to aim preserve all the small vessels running on the chiasm. Otherwise, there is a risk of damage of nerve. So we have to preserve all the tiny vessels. So if you think it is impossible, so you can cut the cut the tumor, and very thin layer you can leave it on the chiasm, I think. And I have one tiny forceps which has a needle tip. So I developed. It's like a pin forceps when you use in microsurgery. So, but I developed a monoshaft needle tip dissector. By using this kind of fine instrument, you can do fine dissection of this kind of small vessels, I think. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ajit. Harshal, are you there? Dr. Harshal Agarwal, would you like to ask?
Yeah, I just wanted to know from the prof, he uses uninostril approach for the pituitary. If there's a lateral invasive of the cavernous sinus, how does he approach? I mean, he said it didn't take the middle 30 minutes. So, I mean, I saw some of his cases he used contralateral parafurcal approach. So, how does he approach the same side lateral sinus, lateral cavernous sinus?
He's asking about lateral cavernous sinus.
Lateral cavernous sinus. Yes. Actually, if there is a big mass in the cavernous sinus, you can try. If there's a window to approach to the cavernous sinus, you can just open the window to the tumor, and then inside the sinus, just gentle suction only. There's no cutting, coagulating, because there is some vessels, inferolateral trunk, and maybe on the lateral there must be nerves. So only gentle suction. So you can decompress some amount of the tumor. So if there's a big mass in the cavernous sinus, you can approach, I think. Okay.
Right. Professor, thank you very much. Professor Kimura. Kimura Sensei, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Please.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Professor Watanabe. Thank you very much for your Professor Watanabe. Thank you very much for your nice presentation, and you sharing your excellent surgical skill techniques using your videos. So it is so very amazing and fantastic that you do always accurate and logical techniques. Yes, very nice. And this is the one question for you. So maybe the same question as the professor, Dr. Raja. So maybe the question was maybe suspended. So when you encounter intraoperatively the injury of the internal carotid artery, so how can you manage the devastating accident? Yeah. I guess you have no experience of the intraoperative IC injury.
Actually,
explain how do you prepare for the devastating event?
Actually, only one case I have experienced intraoperative, injury of IC. So in that case, I could control with a glue and surgical repeated compression and maybe 30 minutes compression I could control. And fortunately, the patient was fine. But some Professor Wormald in Australia, he says the crunched muscle is the best thing to stop the IC rupture. So, so if I come across the IC rupture, maybe I will take the muscle piece and crunch it and push it.
And pressing the internal cervical IC for just before the surgery. In such a case, complex case, I think we should preserve the internal carotid artery cervical portion. Maybe it might be one option for the surgery. But yes, it's not so. It should not encounter Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the cases we don't have to care about IC injury, but yes, as you said, in very selected cases, you have to.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. See
Thank
you
you.
next. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimura Sensei. Actually, last year, one of the famous videos which appeared about carotid injury during endoscopic endonasal surgery, it appeared in Journal of Neurosurgery. It is free. We all can watch. It is a very exciting video. And I think, what about the role of endovascular team? You have a wonderful endovascular team at the HE Medical Center. In case of injury, you can always call on them. You can put a stent across. You are a great team there. I think if there are no more questions, we can call it a day. I sincerely thank you, Watanabe Sensei.
Hello?
Yeah. Please, who is this?
I am Partha Sarathi Datto.
Yes, please, Dr. Datto.
If the tumor is very far, not suckable, then how do you manage those tumors?
Talking about adenoma?
Yeah.
Or other?
Pituitary adenoma, I have one or two cases of pituitary adenoma, which are very much far, not suckable, not coming with the suction. How do you manage those cases?
Actually, in such a case, pseudocapsular dissection is a little bit easier. If the tumor is firm, the dissection is easier. The dissection of the tumor from the normal gland may be easier than soft tumor. So I try, dissection of the border of the tumor. Okay. Otherwise, we can grab the tumor and do some decompression and then dissect the tumor at the border.
Okay.
If you make the wide cellular opening, you can do this kind of surgery.
Thank you.
Small window you cannot do, but you can from a wide opening of cellular, you can do the dissection of a firm tumor. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, Professor Fahmy, please ask your question.
Hello, I would like first to thank you because you have a very nice video and illustration. I wonder about, you mentioned the double root endonasal and through the keyhole to get this supracellular anterior extension.
Yes.
You mentioned about, I think, exoscope, right?
Yes.
Yes. This is, of course, for our country, maybe the other Arabic country is a new device. I wonder also if it is easier for operation through exoscope than the traditional microscope. This one thing.
Yes. Yeah.
The other things, I think I have about a question, maybe a repeated question by this lecture about inadvertent injury to one of the branch of the carotid during your route on transforaminal. And I think you have already answered this inquiry also. About the navigation also. Do you really need a navigation with the exoscope, with in case of keyhole, with the endonasal route, or not necessary in such a large anterior extension supracellular region? Thanks.
Okay. And okay. So your question is
exoscope.
Yes.
The need of exoscope and the navigation in case of keyhole approach with the double approach endonasal.
Sensei is asking.
got my point, or
Understood. We understood.
Please.
Sensei, he's asking about using of exoscope and neuronavigation when you use the double corridor through the brain as well as the endonasal.
Yes.
That is his question.
A double corridor is required. Sorry.
No, when do you use the double corridor? Do you depend on the exoscope and neuronavigation?
Depend on, actually exoscope is just a scope. So I use the navigation system when I want to confirm the anatomical situation, but the advantage of a two corridor is we can confirm the important structure from one corridor he cannot see, but the other corridor we can see, and we can talk each other and exchange the information, and we can do a safe surgery. So that is the advantage of a two corridor surgery. So navigation is other, instrument for the safety. Is it answer? Answer. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Sensei.
Okay.
There is one question that how do you take sutures from the nasal cavity? So I have shared a YouTube link of the video of Professor Watanabe operating upon a tuberculum cell and meningioma in the chat box. We can, anybody who is interested may click on that link. And it is a very beautiful video which was prepared by me when I was a fellow in Japan with Professor Yoko Kato, and we were fortunate to see that video. So in that they are showing, Professor Watanabe shows how you take the sutures and close. Are there any further questions? If there are no more questions, then we can call it a day. I sincerely thank Professor Watanabe for this exciting lecture. On behalf of the ACNS Education Committee and the President, Professor Yoko Kato, please extend our heartfelt gratitude towards you. And I thank you very much. Hope to have your support in the future endeavors of the ACNS Education Committee. Thank you very much, Sensei. And thank you all the attendees who came here. Thank you, John Bennett, very much for televising this. And we will meet next Wednesday with Professor Soichi Oya, who discusses about skull-based techniques for aneurysm. So till the next Saturday, it's bye-bye from all of us. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you, Liu, for being a co-host. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Professor.
Hello, John. Hello, John.